What's up, Trey?
On that, one of those quizzes,
Mm-hmm.
the media quiz, where you had like half the hog was like shaded
Yeah,
in.
you get those back momentarily.
I didn't turn it in. I took it to the tutoring.
You don't have to.
Well, I know, but I took it to the tutoring place, and he couldn't even really help me with it. He was having a problem with.
Isn't that amazing? Something in Time magazine.
Yeah, but he was having a problem with knowing which one was the actual percentage. Like, was it the shaded area or was it the white area? He didn't know, and so I was
Where
like,
were the numbers placed?
they were in the red.
So the implication is in the shaded
That's what I thought. He
area.
said, well,
That makes me nervous when it makes me nervous when something that's in Time magazine confuses Americans. That's why I'm glad you're sitting in this class.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I did the quiz.
Good. Don't turn it in. That's totally fine. You don't have to.
Okay.
I put solution videos up for them
Okay.
last year. There's now solution links to all those quizzes, so for sure you can totally get to them there. Yes. Good. All right. So thank you for sending these back up here. So we'll start with the very first data list here. I give you the data sheets because that way you don't have to constantly be writing data down. I like collecting data in class as well. We'll do that today as well if we have time. I think we will. But I also like giving you data so you don't have to be scratching stuff down. This first one here, I like this one. The study's a little bit old now, 2006. Not a big deal. But there's 35 subjects. The title of the study was Nutrient Adequacy During Weight Loss Interventions, a randomized study in women comparing the dietary intake in a meal replacement group with a traditional food group. Now, what I love about the titles of these studies is they always read like this. But if that then makes itself into a newspaper, it gets diluted down into a little teeny tiny headline that is very often misleading. For example, in 244 today we were analyzing one that said Harvard study confirms fluoride lowers IQ in children. I saw the headline, I'm like, really? Okay. So then I read past the headline, which is I know more than 95% of Americans will do, and I read the very first statement. They said Harvard released a 32-page study that showed a high correlation between the amount of fluoride in drinking water in certain living areas and low IQ scores in those same areas. Now, when I read that, which took longer to say than fluoride lowers IQ, I realized what Harvard had found. Harvard found a very interesting scatter plot, kind of like Walmart did, between the amount of fluoride in the water and the level of IQ. But nowhere in Harvard's study did it say that the fluoride caused the lowered IQ. Only that it happened at the same rate as you increased the fluoride, the IQs were dropping. But the headline therefore claims fluoride's causing the lowered IQ. Now first of all, you have to ask yourself, do you care about lowered IQ? I don't even know if I care about it. We'll talk more about that as this class goes on. But do you see the difference between reading a headline and reading past the headline? It goes back to the Time magazine thing again too. Just being able to process what's coming at you. The headline's incorrect. So this right here, Nutrient Adequacy During Weight Loss Interventions, a randomized study in women comparing the dietary intake in a meal replacement group with a traditional food group. You can hopefully see why we would care about something like that. Right? What's very popular? We're very busy people, extraordinarily busy people, yes. We're on the go quite a bit. Oftentimes we just eat, well, fast food. Although I hope meal replacement isn't called fast food. I'm hoping meal replacement isn't like one of those bars, you know, which I have all kinds of studies done about them all the time. A meal replacement bar, they make those now. It's like a 250 calorie bar that's supposed to be like 3 servings of vegetables and a fruit, and like a turkey. So, turkey bar. Why has no one invented that yet? So, the idea is now, the whole point of the study though is comparing, we're trying to see weight loss interventions. We're trying to see if weight loss has occurred. And we're measuring the nutrient adequacy. I've left the nutrient adequacy part out of this and only focused on the weight changes. So take a look at this study right here. Take a look at the sample from this data. This is 35 subjects. Not very much, but sometimes you take all you can get in these studies. Those are 35 weight changes over the course of the study. Based on this data, can we say, with any level of certainty, weight is being lost? Can we say? Now, let's put 2 more words in there. On average. Can we talk about on average weight being lost? Because you can look at one person and say, well, that person gained weight, and then say, no, weight's not being lost. But that's like looking at Jared and saying Subway sandwiches make you lose a whole bunch of weight. You're focusing on what's called the outlier. So on average, looking at all the data, is weight being lost?
Yes.
Tell me how you're measuring that.
Negatives.
are there? Let's see. Well, I'm gonna count there's more negatives than non-negatives, right? I'm gonna count the non-negatives. 7 non-negatives. Thank you for counting for me. 7 out of 35 is, well, that's 20% now, isn't it? That's exactly 1/5. So 80% of the sample, 80% of the sample lost weight. If you include the 0, it goes up even a little bit higher, doesn't it? It's maybe 3% higher. So 80% of the sample lost weight. It's fantastic.
0 isn't. There's 8 positive.
Well, it's not negative. It's one of the non-negatives. So 80% lost weight, 83% either stayed the same or lost weight. Say it that way if you want to say it that way. That's totally fine.
There's 8
So,
positives.
please.
8 positives. Just,
Oh, 8 positives. So it's slightly less than.
there's a 21 in there.
Oh, all good, all good. So, but nonetheless, a very high percentage lost weight. Yes.
Yes.
Whether we say it's 80, whether we say it's 77, that's totally fine. 77%, I can live with that too. So let's say 77, that's even easier. So that means for every one person that gained weight, 3 people lost weight, 75% roughly. Seems like it's working, yes? But what question does that skirt? Yes, we now have a percentage for those who lost weight, but it skirts maybe an equally important question. Wouldn't you be interested in something else besides just that you lost weight?
Did they do exercise?
Oh, you guys are asking research questions. How did they lose the weight? Was it through exercise? How long of a time did it take? That's a very, very good question. Like, did this all happen like over a weekend? In which case it's coming right back. Chances are it's all water weight or something like that. Good, good. But I was thinking, if we just look at the data tells us something else that we're ignoring with the percentages, Sean.
The percentage of total weight loss.
Right, how much weight was lost? Yes? How much weight was lost? I mean, now, we can look at a person who, say, lost 58 pounds. If that person was 400 pounds to start with, 58 pounds might not be that hard to believe, especially if they're put into a regimen where diet is controlled for and they might not have had a diet control for before. In the same way, a minor weight loss, like something like 14 pounds maybe, would be far more impressive for a smaller person. But in general, how much weight was lost on average, right? You can assume a control group. Now, the variables that are often called controlled in these studies, you can assume that these people were not starting at vastly different weights. They were starting roughly at the same weights. Whenever you read the methods part of these studies, they say subjects were between a weight of blah and blah. So these people are all about the same size when they start the study. And then they track the weight loss off of that. So you could assume, as far as your percentage of weight loss, Sean, don't worry about that so much. We can just look at the raw numbers and get a good indicator that way. So the question I have is, it's an extension of Sean's though. How much weight was lost? Friends, how much weight was lost on average? You can figure it out, can't you? Go figure it out. Use your tricks, use your 1-bar stats. You learned it last class. I know it's been 150 hours since last class. Crunch the data. Get me an average. Get me an average, yes? Give me an average. I want to see an average. I'm going to do it with you.